I made a search on the internet for rejuvenation in the Bible, wondering if there are any cases where someone is made young again. Because although Jesus says whatever people ask for, he can do it, none of his people that he heals that I know of ask to be made young again, even though he's there to bring eternal youth to people and talks about being born again. In 3 different searches, I found something that eventually turned up that wasn't included in any of those searches for rejuvenation references, and that was Job 33:25, where a young man, after the advice of old men has failed, tells Job what he should be doing with better advice than what the old men give, and this is a foreshadowing of what Yahweh will say to him a few chapters later. The story of Job is of intertwined things I talk a lot about on my channel: singing, property rights, and rejuvenation, or the possibility thereof. In many ways, it's a reverse creation story. The first couple of chapters of Genesis start with people being given a lot of animals and being told to go out and have lots of children. And Job starts out with lots of animals and lots of children, and hell has them all taken away from him. There's also an echo of the Genesis, a couple of chapters at the beginning, because Job is challenged in terms of how much he knows. There's even one point where Yahweh says to him that he's been there since the beginning, and his number of years he's lived is vast, or days, depending on how you look at the quote. So there's this implication, like Eve, who was told she's the mother of all living, that he was actually there in some form and doesn't realize it, that he was there from the beginning. And when Yahweh chides him for his lack of knowledge, he gives in, that there could be an irony in those words. After Job's trials are over, a restoration of double everything Job had before. He's given double his number of agricultural livestock wealth that he had. He's given his children back again, not twice as many of them, but he is told of living 140 years after his trials are over. And this is significant because in the earlier chapters of the book, he has his 3 friends come and trying to decide what he's done wrong and how to fix it. And they say that they're old and gray and older than his father, which appears to be the oldest age that his father had before he died, because there's no consultation and speaking to Job's father in the book, although these people are patriarchal and they want wisdom and elders and somebody older and wiser that they can consult. So Job's friends, who are probably much the same age as he is, as most best friends are older than Job's father when he died. So Job should be quite advanced in years before his trials begin. So he essentially should have one life, almost full lifespan, before everything's taken away from him, and he's given 140 years numbered after his trials are over and his children are restored, and 3 of the sons are given names, unlike what they were before. They're unnamed in the early parts of the book. So we start to get some echoes of the way the patriarchs were kept track of in Genesis, because Job now has numbers assigned to his years, and he has names assigned to some of his sons. So there's this restoration, and as far as I can see it, the only renewal of youth story that I've found. It's clearly a case of that in the Bible. And it's accompanied by singing, references to singing. The young man who gives Job his better advice in 33 to 39th chapter or so says that men sing about how great the Lord is, or God. I don't know which one it is exactly. And then Yahweh says in later chapters, when he's chiding Job for his lack of knowledge, "Were you there when I made the earth and the morning stars sang?" So this is significant in that there's supposedly singing going on as part of the creation of the earth, but we aren't told about it in Genesis. There's no references that I've found. The word sing, if you do a Bible search, doesn't come up in reference to the book of Genesis. But the events depicted in Genesis are told about afterwards, and only in Job's story. This reference comes out because of Job's story. So the knowledge of singing and its part in creation is hidden from people. just like it is now in many ways in an internet search, at least in relation to how it refers to renewal of youth. Because these references all occur together. They're all part of the package of things that Job doesn't know, doesn't realize, and has to come into terms with and confront in order to be given back his personal property, a second life, and his children.